Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unlock the Full Potential of AI for Your Enterprise. Today's webinar is sponsored by Nutanix and NVIDIA and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Keith Ward. I am with Actual Tech Media, and I'm thrilled to be your moderator for today's webinar. But before we get to the main event, I do need to go over a few housekeeping items with you. And first up is that we want your questions. Just drop them in the questions box in your webinar control panel right over there on your right. At the end of the presentation today, we're going to be doing a fun Q&A session as we go in depth on your great questions. So keep them coming throughout the session. Now, that Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues you might be experiencing. A browser refresh will fix most audio, video, and slide advancement issues. Sometimes it takes a couple of refreshes. So if the first one doesn't work, just try it again. If that still doesn't work, let us know in the Q&A, and we will provide further technical assistance to you. Second, check out the handouts section, which is right there next to that Q&A tab, where you're going to find a host of great free resources. I'd especially like to call your attention today to a whole bunch of PDFs and links for more information about Nutanix and NVIDIA solutions for your organization. Now, there's 6 resources there, I think, in all, so get them while they're hot. Now, there you will also find a link to the ATM Events Center, which has our calendar of more upcoming events like this one. Check out, see what we've got in the future here, and sign up for any ones that look good to you. All right, up next, we are going to be giving away a $250 Amazon gift card to one of you listening to my voice right now. Now, you do have to be in attendance during the entire live event to qualify for the prize. The official terms and conditions of the prize drawing can be found in the handouts section. Scroll to the bottom, and you'll find the link with all the mind-numbingly boring details right there. And as I mentioned before, we want your questions, and we have got an additional opportunity for you today to encourage more questions. We've got a special $50 Amazon gift card, this one for the best question that we get asked. So after the event is over today, we're going to look at all of your questions that came in, pick out the very best one, and contact that prize winner. So don't forget, ask lots of questions. You're going to have the experts here with you. So take advantage of that. And with that, let's get to today's fantastic content. I cannot wait to hear what they have to say. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenters today, who are Sean Donahue, Senior Solutions Marketing Manager at Nutanix, and Charlie Huang, Senior Product Marketing Manager for Enterprise at NVIDIA. So we're going to bring them on right now. Here they are. All right. I see both of you, Sean and Charlie. It is great to see you here. How are you both doing today?
Hey, Keith, thanks for having us. It's very exciting to talk about gift cards, huh? Look at that. You rattled off a bunch of gift cards that people can win. So make sure you get those questions in. I can't wait to see it. And I cannot believe the luck and the fortune I have to be here with my good friend, Charlie Huang from NVIDIA. It is amazing.
Thank you, Sean. I'm so excited to be doing this with you again. We saw each other just shortly before the holidays, and we're here again talking about our great technologies together.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Yeah. Thank you, gentlemen. I am going to go dark here for a little while. I will see you on the other side for some fantastic Q&A. Thanks so much.
Sounds good. Thank you, Keith, and welcome everyone. I appreciate everyone being in attendance. I love to see where everybody's coming in from. Arkansas, St. Louis. We've got a few in Atlanta and North Carolina. And I guess the question of the day is, who is coldest with all this Arctic weather blowing across the U.S.? Who is the coldest today? So I don't know, put your temperature in the chat window as well. Charlie, it is so amazing to be here, and everybody who is in attendance here. It is a great opportunity for us to talk to Charlie from NVIDIA about all things AI and enterprise AI. So Charlie, thanks for joining us today, man.
Yeah, thanks so much. I feel like we're just chatting at our booth not too long ago at the cloud shows just a month ago.
we've got some events coming up that we're going to
Yep.
reunite for as well. So
Very exciting stuff. What we're talking about today is hot, so hopefully I'll warm up the audience.
hot, hot, hot. Exactly. So let's get into it. So we're talking about unlock the potential of AI for enterprise, for your enterprise. Just rolls right off the tongue. I don't know who came up with that title, but and we have some agenda items. Let's cover the agenda, give everybody the roadmap of what it is we're talking about here today. Of course, we're talking about use cases for enterprise AI. That's some good stuff, some really identifiable use cases. Overcoming obstacles is a good one too, because a lot of people struggle with how do they get started, right, Charlie? How do they get started with AI and those obstacles that we have in front of us? And of course, it wouldn't be a joint webinar if we didn't talk about the joint Nutanix and NVIDIA story that we have for enterprise AI. And I love that. And I love the fact I don't want to give anything away. And I am trying to get my natural excitement and zeal and enthusiasm under control here. But I can't wait to talk about NVIDIA NIM. And Charlie, you're the guy who to talk to about that. And then drive it like you own it. We want to get into and give you the keys to the test drive as well. Get you in there and see what this thing is about. So if everybody's buckled up, everybody's got their seatbelts fastened, let's get into it and let's kick this puppy off. If you are not familiar with Nutanix yet, it is our mission. It's in our DNA to radically simplify enterprise IT. And we've been doing that for years with enterprise apps, cloud native apps, data center consolidation, hyperconverged infrastructure, of course, and of course now with AI and ML and enterprise AI, what we're bringing into the fold here today. So that's really where our wheelhouse is, that one platform to run your apps and data anywhere. So we'll get into it. And so if you're not familiar with Nutanix yet, consider yourself familiar. You're in the fold now. Who doesn't love a good quote from Gartner? I like to start my day with a good quote from Gartner. How about you, Charlie? I like to have a cup of coffee, maybe a little croissant or something, and then a Gartner quote. So Gartner's quote of the day is generative AI is now the most frequently deployed AI solution in most organizations. And that's true. I mean, everybody wants AI. Everybody's talking about AI. The adoption rates or the intent to adopt is, over 90%. It's just phenomenal. Charlie, is AI coming up in your everyday conversations or what?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's getting ingrained in every part of life, every part of business. So I don't think I don't think anyone could go a day without hearing AI, actually.
I agree. I think my barometer is when my mother-in-law starts talking about something, then it has full adoption, almost like the cloud did back in 2009, 2010. Yep. And I think that's where we are with AI, at the top of the hype cycle, so to speak. Okay. And what now for our audiences, though? This is a great question for our audience here today. And I see we have hundreds of people out there today. What specific, this is your question. You can type it into the chat as well. I don't know if it qualifies you for the gift cards that Keith was talking about, but let's get a conversation going anyways. What specific business challenge are you looking to solve with Gen AI? And what I love about that question is, and Charlie, I see you on the screen, you're getting choked up and emotional, and I don't blame you. This stuff gets me choked up and emotional too. Because this leads us into our next slide, which is all about the use cases. So now, Charlie, I'm going to ask you a question here. And I'm going to answer the question myself as well, too. When I'm talking to customers and prospects, and we're talking about AI and enterprise AI specifically, I tend to see the use cases that they're interested in get into three buckets: better security, everybody loves security, accelerated code and content creation, and then improving customer support I see those as tending to be the three buckets. My question to you, Charlie, is if you had to pick one of those as your favorite, almost like you were picking your favorite child, which I can easily do, by the way. If you were picking your favorite, which of those buckets would you pick as the one you hear most often?
Sean, I love all my children equally. I feel like you kind of need them all, right? At some point, you will need to build and implement all these. And the reason why you hear about these is this is something that every single industry will use, right? The better security, accelerating code and content creation and improving the customer support. So no matter what industry, what business you're in, you're going to need all of these, right? And I think at one point you may have a need for one over the other. It really depends on your situation and your business needs.
Yeah, I agree. And the ones that I get excited about the most, actually, we're going to talk about in this session here. We're going to talk about how Nutanix is actually using Gen AI or enterprise AI internally. And one of those is going to be the customer support bucket. So that's a no-brainer. Let's make our customers happy and get them the right answers as fast as we can. Another one that excites me, though, is the accelerated code and content creation. Because when I think of my developer friends and being able to use enterprise AI in a secure manner, obviously, where they can actually take the code that they're developing and actually proof it, almost like another set of eyes to scan that code for errors and, debug, for lack of a better word. It's almost like that team development mentality that we used to use before AI was available. But those are three buckets I see often.
And I've seen it as well. So, kind of our own testimony is I was working with one of our solutions architects and asked him if he could put a demo together. He turned it around in a day. I was like, that's incredible. How did you do that? He said, generative AI helped me code this thing, and I just tweaked it to what I needed it to be. And it was just mind blowing, like the productivity, how quickly he is able to build that.
Yeah. It's staggering. But while we're sitting on this particular slide here, I want to emphasize for those of you out there in the audience, in the ether listening to us now, an important takeaway from this slide is, the buckets are okay and they're cool and everything, but as one of your starting blocks for deploying enterprise AI is deciding what your use cases will be. So get your teams together, cross-organization, to determine what list of use cases will you target first, and what do you expect to be most successful, or what are your metrics for success? Because so many AI projects die in the POC or wither on the vine because of poorly defined use cases and poorly defined success metrics. So make sure you get those teams together and write that list of use cases. And then if one isn't living up to what you expect, fail fast. Get it off the drawing board and bring in other use cases that you had previously identified as well. That's such a key project element to this whole thing. Okay, but what's the dilemma that most organizations are facing? Where are they getting stuck in the mud, if you will? Where are they getting hampered down? And this is what we hear from customers all the time, which is the customers telling us, I don't know where to start. I know AI is something we're going to do. It is bleeding edge. My skill set needs to be caught up. I may be lacking, or there may be a skills gap, but I just don't know where to start. It's almost back to that old adage, and somebody told me this was a Gen X expression, which I didn't identify it as, but the old Calgon, take me away. They need that, that start, that easy solution, that start to get down the AI project. The second one is really essential, which is my company's IP and data, privacy are paramount concerns. And yes, that is absolutely true. You can go out and get public LLMs, the large language models that are trained on, billions of parameters of data that's available across the world. But to really make enterprise AI effective for you, you have to tune it, train it, augment it to your own data itself. And now securing that data and making sure it's protected is of paramount concern. We always need to keep our company's IP protected. And it's like my grandfather always used to say. He used to say, son, don't let your private data sets become part of someone else's LLM. And he was a visionary. He was ahead of his time, but that is so true. Don't let your data leak out into somebody else's LLM. And then step number 3, or the third challenge that customers see all the time, is I need help just to get up and running to be successful. Amen. That's, everybody needs that kickstart.
And just to chime in on the data part, Sean, data is the gold of AI, right? Without data, there's no AI. So That's super important. Just want to highlight that part too.
Absolutely. Like I always say, AI solutions approach data like I approach the all-you-can-eat buffet at a Golden Corral. Just consume as much as I can get my hands on. And that is absolutely true. But using the right data and the correct data and protecting your data is absolutely essential. And that's when we get into, hey, customer, hey, prospect, what path are you looking at to actually implement an AI solution of your own? So a lot of customers, like I'm a do-it-yourselfer to a fault. My family will tell you that. I take on projects at home. I have no skills or no business taking on projects of my own. And my concern is that customers and prospects will go down that path with AI. And try to build their own. They'll go to their data center, their server closet, and they'll start taking out spare parts and old servers and old racks, and they'll try to stitch it together to make a Gen AI solution for their own enterprise. And it's too complicated. There's way too many dependencies involved, and then, disparate vendors all over the place, plus the skill set that's required makes it just a staggering feat to try to go. So as an over rotation or a pivot away from the building it myself, I just go to the public hyperscalers, the public cloud solutions, as a way to start down my AI journey. And that's okay. That's a way to start. But don't forget, your company IP is a paramount concern. And if we start venturing down the public hyperscaler, public cloud hosted solutions feeding in our private data, that's a concern that data leakage now is getting, like I said, into those public LLMs. So what's the better solution? I think is that flexible, turnkey, full stack solution that gives you the cloud operating model with the privacy of on-prem environments. And that's why I am so excited that we announced back in May and before that, the GPT in a box solution from Nutanix. Now, of course, this is a turnkey, full stack AI solution, foundational based on the NVIDIA GPU enabled nodes, of course. And then what else does it give you? I love this option, Charlie. It gives you the choice of LLMs. So you can actually use the LLMs that you decide are the best for your organization. And I'm going to show you how you actually import those LLMs. Yes, you can import the LLMs as part of the NIM offering from NVIDIA. You can import LLMs from the repository called Hugging Face. Or if you went down to the corner of Fifth Ave and 32nd, you could buy an LLM off somebody next to the off-brand Rolexes, and you can actually import that LLM your own. I don't know if you want to do that, but that's an option that you could do. And then, of course, choice of Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is, if you're not familiar, Kubernetes, cloud native containers, whatever it is you want to call it, is the way to deploy your AI and modern application solutions. So with GPT in a Box 2.0, we're not locking you into a particular Kubernetes solution. Yes, of course, we have our own, but you could use Red Hat, you can use Docker, you can use any number of Kubernetes platforms to deploy your AI solution in and with GPT in a box. Now, I want, and I'm going to give the reins over to Charlie in just a second here, but there's a couple of layers in this cake model for GPT in a box that I do want to focus on. We just talked about Kubernetes. It's that comprehensive solution for managing the Kubernetes clusters, and it's streamlining those operations, and it's providing that unified platform to deploy and manage and secure Kubernetes clusters across, on-prem, hybrid, multi-cloud environments. That's the NKP solution that we have as part of our GPT in a box. Another really, really key one here is the unified storage, because as we just said, data and the storage of data is essential and gold for an AI project. Now, in Nutanix Unified Storage, or NUS as we like to call it, it simplifies the management and protection of the data by unifying different storage types into one platform. So this is your structured and unstructured data, and giving you just data services, analytics, ransomware protection, which I love, lifecycle management. It's all there within unified storage. And then the creme de la creme, the key that we're going to come back around to, is the Nutanix Enterprise AI, is that platform for deploying, managing, and securing your AI apps, your endpoints, and your models, and integrating with just such a beautiful user-friendly interface with RBAC controls, role-based access controls, which is key and essential. But all of that is based on the NVIDIA GPU-enabled nodes, but it doesn't end there, does it, Charlie? Because with the NVIDIA GPU-enabled nodes, we're also talking about just NVIDIA's AI leadership. And that's what I want to hear more about from you, Charlie.
Yeah, Sean, I put this slide in because at a lot of the conferences, they're gamers and they know NVIDIA as graphics. Graphics, we still are, right? But AI is behind everything that we talked about. AI is behind the graphics as well. And you talked about the full stack, Sean, and really, a lot of times it's saying, oh, NVIDIA GPUs, but again, AI is the full stack. Great. NVIDIA has some of the best, accelerators, GPUs for AI, but I don't think people realize that software is a big part of what NVIDIA does, right? Really, the software helps with the acceleration, the optimization. It's an enabler. In fact, kind of like trivia is, we have just as many software engineers as hardware engineers, if not more, right? And so people don't think of NVIDIA as a software company, but we very much are, as much as we are a hardware company. So that's what helps makes us a leader in AI. These numbers here are out of date. These go up every day, but you could see that we have over 4 million developers. Startups is big. The number of GPU apps that are using CUDA, the number of CUDA GPUs that enterprise customers are using. It's incredible and continues to grow. So know that we are a leader in AI, and it's a full stack solution. You can see that it's transforming industries just across the board. We talked about how generative AI fits across all industries and use cases that may be particular to an industry, but a lot of the use cases span multiple industries. And, you know, we've been talking about generative AI, Sean, and this is still really big. Everyone's still implementing generative AI. But if you saw the CES keynote, Jensen talked a lot about agentic AI. And so we're kind of moving, we're evolving into these AI agents that are more complex, right? I won't go into it too much here today. We don't have time, but know that you'll start hearing about this more. It's taking a lot of the generative AI work we've been doing over the past like couple years, and then creating AI agents that all work together, right? It's multimodal, it's vision, text, speech, all of it put together, right? And extracting useful data out of the data that you just talked about that's stored on Nutanix. So just know that there's this idea that we are evolving. We have generative AI that's a focus, but you'll start hearing a lot about agentic AI. And with that complexity comes a need for a solution that Nutanix and NVIDIA offer together, right? And here's just kind of the world, the full stack of AI, kind of the world of NVIDIA. And what we're going to focus on is really this NIM software piece for today. Sean, did you want to mention anything before we move on?
Yeah, I love the NIM concept here and this full stack solution that we have going on. I'm trying to come up with a great metaphor for NIM as far as that full, it's not just the models themselves, but all the microservices that are involved in running those models. I'm thinking it's a work in progress here, Charlie, but I'm thinking like one of those meal kit prep services that you have. You know, everything comes in the meal prep, but not just the protein, but also the spices and everything else, and still enterprise AI and NAI for Nutanix is that chef that kind of puts it all together and gets it on the table.
That's a great analogy, Sean. And that's actually that's a good segue to what are NIMs, right? Like you already some of the formatting got messed up here. Sorry about that. But so NIM are optimized inference microservices, and it goes beyond just models. Essentially, they're pre-built containers in Helm charts that includes a foundation model with that connects with standard APIs, and there's support for custom models, or you could take any of the open source community models. And then there's domain specific code. And really a big part of it is the work that NVIDIA does to optimize these models and put it together so that you don't have to do the work in getting a model ready to use and connect your data. So what that brings is portability. You know, Nutanix, Sean just talked about this, but Nutanix has solutions for the hybrid multi-cloud, right? Whether you're doing it on-prem, across different clouds. NIM is also portable. So if, let's say, you start on-prem and you want to bring it to the cloud, there's that portability ease of use that NIM offers as a microservice. It's easy to use. Again, using standard APIs, you could plug in any work that you've done and then pop in a NIM for easy to use. And then it's enterprise supported. So a lot of the software that you use today, maybe it's open source, but you have to think about how are you going to maintain that long term? There's an idea of CVE. These are common vulnerability and exposures. Do you think about how are you going to patch your software and update your application over time, right? AI is such a critical piece, and Sean and I have been talking about the security. Think about how secure is the software you're using. NIM is built on enterprise-grade software, right? And so if there needs to be an update or patch, NVIDIA automatically updates that for you. You don't have to worry. And then again, we talked about the performance. Running, likely if you're running on NVIDIA GPUs to accelerate your building of your AI application or deploying it, we're familiar with those NVIDIA GPUs, and we ensure that the software, everything is optimized to run most efficiently and as quickly as possible on those GPUs.
Yeah. And I love what you said earlier. I meant to comment on it, Charlie, was, before enterprise AI or before Gen AI, the most processor intensive operations that we did were gaming. And processing the video and everything else that was involved in the gaming platform. And if I look at NVIDIA's GTC conference from 10 years ago to today, 10 years ago, it was a gaming conference and it was all just gamers. But today, what we're embarking on in March, I believe it is going to be like the premier AI conference in the industry. And noticing that and realizing that change is phenomenal to sit back and witness it. So it's going to be a great one.
Yeah. And, again, we provide the fastest path to AI inference, right? I think we talked about the DIY AI builders, right? So there, we kind of I kind of call them pro coders, if you will. So they want to do every piece, have control of every piece. But really, we're seeing a lot of the newer AI developers. They want the easy button, right? They don't want to code. If you think about how web pages were coded, you need to know HTML back in the day in order to create a web page. But then over time, there's an easy button so you could create web pages. AI is kind of similar, right? If you wanted to build an AI application, you had to know how to code all that. But now there's developers want to find an easy way. This provides an easy way. So if you're to do it yourself, you need to pull together you have your model, but you can't just take a model and it's just ready to go. You have to prep the model. You have to prep your data, right? And so prepping your model, that's a task that could take a developer, a week or more. We basically save the time so that you could go deploy a model in the form of a NIM, NIM microservice, be ready to deploy that in 5 minutes. And then NAI makes it so easy. And I know you're going to step through this and show how easy it is, but it's really awesome bringing those two things together. And the scope, again, of the models, if you look at models that are coming out, we look to support those models as microservices. So NVIDIA partners with all the main model builders out there. So for every industry, there's going to be a NIM that will likely support your needs. And so I recommend checking out our site. You could go to ai.nvidia.com and they'll bring you to our API catalog as well that shows kind of there's hundreds of NIMs these days. So check that out, see what fits your needs. And how we package this all up, it's not just the NIM and our AI microservices, but it's all these SDK and frameworks that are enterprise grade, enterprise supported. So we patch these. I don't have time to go into kind of our branching and how we support this, but all this is enterprise supported through NVIDIA. And so, it's just it's one software platform that includes everything you need, from the models to frameworks, SDKs, to infrastructure management, tying in all with Nutanix.
Yeah. And there are two things that stuck out to me, Charlie, from the the recent CES keynote that Jensen gave a couple of weeks ago. It's available on, of course, YouTube. Two things that stuck out to me. Number one, he talked a lot about NeMo, NVIDIA NeMo, and that was a great part to hear. But number two, he had a new leather jacket, which I thought was pretty interesting.
The shiny one, huh?
I'm not going to put you. I'm not going to put you on the spot on that one, Charlie.
No, I'm not. It looked cool. It was very fitting for Vegas for sure.
Yeah, good.
I loved it. But before I hand it off to you to tell the audience how it all comes together, I just want to bring this slide up. So this is what we call the enterprise AI flywheel, and the idea is AI. It's a virtuous cycle. It's not a one thing where you you develop it and that's it, you deploy it, right? Because again, we've been talking about the data. Data continues to come, data collection, and you want to continue making your AI applications smarter, right? It's just like how we evolved. We learn things, but we don't stop learning it once we leave school. We continue to learn throughout our life. AI is like that, right? It's an artificial intelligence that's constantly learning. And so you have this AI flywheel where you may start at the inference, but then you're going to get more data that you want to include in your AI application. And so it's this virtuous cycle where you're going to continue to fine tune your model or your application, maybe put guardrails in, right? Maybe there's new laws or restrictions that you need to make sure that your application is following, and then you're going to go back and deploy it. And it's this constant cycle that you're going to do to continue to make your AI, your generative AI application up to date and useful, long term. So I want to leave that concept and hand it off to you, back to you, Sean, to talk about how we integrate this all together and how this awesome solution we partnered together with to offer to our enterprise customers.
For sure. And I can't wait to get into what's called Nutanix Enterprise AI, or as the cool kids call it, NAI is the acronym of choice. But I want to talk about just real quick here on this, the flywheel, the enterprise data. We talked or referenced to unified storage previously as the way to store and manage all your data in one place, even though it's structured, unstructured, et cetera, et cetera. But I want to give a little bit of a light to a product that is with Nutanix Unified Storage, which is called Data Lens. And Data Lens has the ability to actually audit and monitor your data for anomaly detection. So of course, it has a list of signatures to look out for. So if you have nefarious individuals out there, internal, external, introducing malware, ransomware into your data sets themselves, Data Lens has the ability of not just to check against the signature files, but it also has anomaly detection. So if it sees activity happening in your data, as ransomware and malware tend to do, then it will alert and monitor that, but then stop it and then block it from spreading, and then be able to roll back that data to last known good sets. And it's called Data Lens. So if you have a chance, I definitely recommend looking into it as well. But Charlie, my segue, Charlie, I wanted to talk about how Nutanix is using our own solutions, how we're drinking our own champagne, I guess is the more polite way to say these things today. So we've rolled out 2 internal GPT solutions inside Nutanix. One is called Support GPT. And Support GPT is just what you would think it is. Now, if you are like me, you started your career in tech support, and I'm going to date myself right here, Charlie. I started my career doing telephone technical support for a small startup called Microsoft on a product called Windows 3.1. Now, in those days, we had to scour knowledge base articles and read them and figure out what knowledge base article was relevant to the customer's problem, and then decipher what the answer would be to try. Support GPT, you literally type into the inference dialog what, in natural language, by the way, what the customer is experiencing, and then it is scouring the knowledge base articles, the data sets, and giving you the accurate answer in a fraction, we're talking seconds, to resolution. So 20% increase in productivity on day one is what we're experiencing. I think that number is out of date. I think it's much higher than that. And then we also launched or have launched Sales GPT. So instead of our sales leaders now trying to spend their time fielding questions about obscure policies on behalf of salespeople trying to close deals, now they're using Sales GPT to actually scour again those data sets and increase that productivity. So those are just two ways so far that we're using our own or drinking our own champagne. Is that that's the phrase. But
Sean,
yes, sir.
I gotta say that's so much better than what I was used to, where I had to flip through a hard user's manual, go to the index and look for a keyword and flip back to that page. So this is awesome.
Yeah. Oh, it's amazing. It is a world of difference. Okay, so let's get into it. We're going to look at a demo. Now, this is the Cliff Note version. I don't know do kids still use Cliff Notes in school, or is it called something else, or
no,
are they just using AI?
It's called generative AI, Sean.
So this is the highlight reel then of the demo for Nutanix Enterprise AI, which, by the way, we're going to have an opportunity for our attendees here to actually scan the QR code and go into the test drive yourself. And you can actually do your own demo at your own leisure, at your own time, free of cost, of course. So this is just a highlight reel of that demo. So I just want to start off by saying, yes, Nutanix Enterprise AI, Kubernetes is how we're delivering it. We support Kubernetes, of course. We support virtual machines as well. Kubernetes and cloud native applications is the way to deploy all modern applications, including and especially enterprise AI. So this is going to be a Kubernetes based demo that you're going to be looking at Test Drive. With this screen here, what I want to emphasize is the fact that it is a hybrid cloud offering. So yes, we support AWS, Kubernetes AWS, which is what, EKS? We support Azure, AKS, and of course, on-prem with your data center as well. So you can deploy your Nutanix Enterprise AI containers on any one of those platforms, true multi-cloud, hybrid multi-cloud. I love this dashboard for NAI because it is very Prism-like. If you are familiar with Nutanix Prism, our management interface, it is very intuitive and it will be very easy for you to handle. And this is where my friend Mike Bermondi, Charlie, you know Mikey B, came up with a great expression of turn your IT resources into AI resources. And that's what this speaks to. Because of this familiar intuitive interface that that IT admins are already familiar with, they can adopt to AI relatively quickly. But I love some of the stats that this interface gives you, like your endpoint summary and what endpoints are active, what have failed, how many requests, how many API requests are those endpoints getting, and then a little bit about your infrastructure summary as well, the memory usage, the GPU usage, all that stuff right there on a nice screen for you to audit very, very quickly. And then your top 5 endpoints as well. Everybody likes to stack rank their endpoints. Who doesn't like to stack rank their endpoints? And then this is the one, Charlie, that we were talking about. This is the GUI interface in this admin screen here that allows you to actually import the models of choice. So like we said, you can go to the NVIDIA NGC catalog and you can import the NIM with the model as well. You can go to Hugging Face and import the validated models that are available from Hugging Face, and you can import the models as you see fit off of an NFS share or wherever you have those models stored. You can import your models here. Nice click importation, nice GUI-led interface there. And then this one, I know this is a bit of an eye chart, and I appreciate its granular ability here, and anybody who can actually read it, because this is the part of the NAI management console that allows you to actually create your endpoints. And what I want to point out here is that you're naming it, yes, for sure, but it actually is detecting, it knows what GPU cards are available on this cluster, and it actually identifies those to you. So you can actually tell it what GPU, what NVIDIA GPU to use, and the number of GPUs to use for this endpoint as well. And then it's also going to, I don't know if you can see it or not, but down at the very bottom here, it's going to allow you to create an API key, which is going to associate the endpoint with the model. It's almost like the ignition key to your car, so that you can then hand that off to your data scientist and developer to actually use that endpoint with that model and tie them both together. So I know what you're sitting out there saying. I know, I feel I have that sixth sense capability where I can detect, I can predict the number one question on the top of everybody's mind on this webinar. The number one question on the top of everybody's mind here today is, Sean, is your shirt supposed to be that tight? And that's irrelevant. I don't know why everybody is thinking that question. The second question on the top of everybody's mind is, how can I actually do this myself? And I know that we're getting to the end of our time here, so I want to give everybody the opportunity to scan the QR code and to actually go take the test drive themselves. And you can take a test drive here on NAI, and you can take it at your own pace, at your own leisure, and it is no cost, of course, and you can experience the entire NAI capability. And I know that I'm getting ready, Charlie, to hand it back to Keith. Go ahead, Charlie.
I highly recommend this. So, Sean, I'm not an IT admin. I'm not a pro coder, for a pro coder AI developer, but just walking through this is almost as close as you could get to like an easy button to kind of manage all the workloads. So basically that dashboard makes you feel so powerful. You get so much information in one dashboard. I was really impressed with it. So I highly recommend the audience going to try each of these. Go through the walkthrough. That takes like couple minutes, and then if you have a little more time, definitely do the test drive. So it's very slick, and with the whole NVIDIA integrations into it, just makes it that much easier to use and accessible to the NIM and all that, all the goodness we just talked about.
I love that phrasing, Charlie. I'm going to steal it from now on. That management interface makes you drunk with power. I'm going to use that from now on. But hey, Charlie, I'm going to leave this up. Maybe we'll flip back to it. I'm not sure. We're taking the show on the road. We should take the show on the road, because we in Nutanix is going to be at NVIDIA GTC. That's not true. March 1 through 21. Who's doing 20 days of GTC? Well, that is not correct.
It's missing the 8 after the first one. It's the
18. March 18 to 21. So there you go. That's much more palatable. I can handle that one. We've got sessions. We've got a booth. Come and see us. Keith, I'm bringing you back in, buddy.
And we'll both be there, so come say hi to us.
Thanks, guys.
Charlie is offering autographed headshots too, by the way, on the expo floor.
I'm kind of a little bummed here. I was looking forward to hanging out in San Jose for 3 weeks. I mean, doesn't everybody want to spend 3 weeks in San Jose? I don't know. That's like nirvana. So why wouldn't we all want to be in San Jose for 3 weeks for that conference? But
for sure.
Anyway, guys, what a great presentation here. I loved all of that. And hearing the integration between Nutanix and NVIDIA, since Sean is a big lover of analogies here, the one I was thinking of was coming up with a little bit of a Forrest Gump one where, Nutanix and NVIDIA are like peas and carrots, right? So maybe that's another one we can use, the integration of the NVIDIA chips in the Nutanix equipment and hardware is such a powerful combination. But enough of me sucking up to both of you. What do you say we get to some questions here? We have gotten some great ones in, and I agree. I kind of want to leave this slide up here so that the attendees have plenty of opportunities to click that QR code with their phones. I also want to remind everyone, as we're going through these questions, that those handouts are still available. We've got a bunch from both Nutanix and NVIDIA, so download those now. They are free and waiting for you to take advantage, so do that as well. Okay, first question for you today, and I don't care who takes this, but it's a really interesting one. And someone wants to know, what is the difference between VMs, i.e. virtual machines, and containers, which, Sean, you referenced before, but you didn't really go into much detail. So I think a quick overview would be useful right here as well. That was a good question.
I did reference that. So VMs versus containers, a lot of people are still VM champions. I've cut my teeth on VMs for the past 20 years, 30 years. And that's how I've been deploying my applications and even virtual desktops forever and a day. But the problem is the virtual machines have dependencies that I have to be attentive or aware of. Kubernetes containers are really more self-isolated and a modern way of deploying applications with all the dependencies wrapped in. So they're much more portable, would be the word of the day, and much easier to deploy when you have your Kubernetes infrastructure established and set up. And I would say this, it's not a forecast, it's not a prognostication by any means, but I have seen the growth trajectory for Kubernetes, and it is just going to keep taking off and taking off. And I'll throw this in, I am hearing that ISVs, and if you think about it, kind of NVIDIA NIM is doing this already, are going to be shipping and sending their actual their software pre-containerized in a Kubernetes container, making it just a click to deploy. So if you're not on the Kubernetes train yet, I would strongly recommend you get on the Kubernetes bandwagon so you don't get left behind.
100% on that. Okay, next question. They ask, I have my existing infrastructure. Why wouldn't I just deploy an AI solution right to it?
Charlie?
Wait, can you repeat that one?
Sure. The question is, for someone who has their existing infrastructure already in place, why wouldn't they just deploy an AI solution to it?
So I'm going to go out to my data center server closet and cobble this stuff together. You think that? I don't know, Charlie. Is that
I think. Yeah, I think it really depends on what the customer, the developers are trying to do. I think we do see a lot of the hybrid multi-cloud. Some folks will start in the cloud. It's easy to scale. If they do it on-prem, there may be a sense of kind of having the infrastructure that they need and kind of owning the software versus like a renting kind of model. Not sure. I couldn't see the actual question, so I'm not sure if that answers it.
Yeah, no, not a problem. Great answer. I've got a really good one. We've got time for just a couple more questions here, but this is one that I am quite sure that is a good one for Sean. So the question is, to get started on my generative AI project, can I start small with few nodes and then add additional nodes without compromising performance?
No, you got to go full. No, I'm kidding. Of course, starts. Yeah, you got to go full in with a full project right away. Now, start small. You can deploy, single clusters with a couple of nodes. And then one of the beauties is you can just keep adding those clusters in. And it's a linear, I'm envisioning a linear scalability as you start to grow. So now just to bring it back to the beginning, we had mentioned the use cases at the very front of this session here, and identifying those use cases being so critical. And really, the other critical part to them is not just identifying the use cases and getting the whole broader teams to agree on the use cases that you're going to tackle first, but also to have a list of use cases that you're going to grow into, and having the KPIs, those metrics for success, so that you can say, yes, we deployed this AI use case for a customer, chatbot, customer experience, whatever it happened to be. And we saw a 20%, 30% efficiency or customer retention, whatever the metric happens to be. And we deem it success, and we are going forward. And as you do that, you're adding in more use cases. So the ability to scale that infrastructure to support the additional use cases is critical. And that's where that scalability, that linear scalability with the Nutanix clusters comes into play. So shorter answer, yes. Longer answer is linear scalability is key, and it's what we strive for in everything.
And one of the reasons I would add here that going with a Nutanix solution is nice in this situation is adding nodes is so simple and seamless. Right. There's no work. I mean, basically it's plug and play for an entire new node. And that's what you're looking for, is that kind of efficiency of, scaling up like that. Well, Charlie and Sean, it has been so much fun to have you on today. There's a ton of questions that we weren't able to get to. You know why? Because you guys talked so very long. There was so much great information that came out here that we're going to have to leave a lot of questions on the table. But I did want to mention that have no fear. If you did ask a question today that didn't get answered, that the Nutanix and NVIDIA teams will be reaching out with you. And so you will be hearing back from them. So don't worry about that. And with that, I am going to say goodbye to our two speakers today. Sean and Charlie, it was an absolute delight to have you on. Thank you so much for updating us on the exciting things, and they truly are, that NVIDIA and Nutanix are doing.
Thank you, as always, Keith. It's been a pleasure to be with you. And to everybody in the audience, I know your time is valuable, so I want to thank you for taking your time to be here today. So, Keith, let's give away a gift card.
I think that's a fantastic idea. All right. Thanks so much. And here we go. And there goes Sean and Charlie. And that leaves me with one more thing to do, everyone. That is to make one of you $250 richer via the Amazon gift card. So the winner for today's webinar is, drum roll in your mind, Jeff Tice from North Carolina. Congratulations to you, Jeff. We will be in touch ASAP to get you your card, so sit tight. And with that, folks, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, we are wrapped. I want to thank Nutanix and NVIDIA for making this event possible. This doesn't happen without their support. So thanks so much for being here and for that awesome presentation. I loved every single minute of it. And I want to thank you, attendees, for being here with us. You're the reason we are here doing what we do. Thanks for spending part of your afternoon, evening, wherever you are, morning with us. It's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you in the next webinar. And have a great rest of your day, everyone.